Hello, fellow history lovers and English learners. Welcome back to our cozy storytelling corner. It is a pleasure to have you here today. Have you ever stopped for a moment to think about the invisible threads that connect us all? Right now, as you listen to my voice, you are part of a miracle that spans the entire globe. We live in a world where a thought, a song, or a photograph can travel across oceans in the blink of an eye. But how did we get here? Was it always this easy to speak to someone on the other side of the planet? Today, we are going to travel back in time to explore the quiet beginnings of the most powerful tool ever created by human hands. This is not just a story about machines and wires. It is a story about dreamers, about the fear of silence, and about the deep human need to be understood. Before the screens and the lights, there was only a big, lonely world waiting for a way to talk to itself. Let us begin this journey into the heart of the digital age. Imagine, if you will, the world of the 1950s and early 1960s. It was a time of great tension and deep shadows. The world was divided by a cold wall of fear between the East and the West. In the United States, scientists and leaders were worried. They were worried that if a single bomb fell on their communication centers, the entire country would go silent. Information was kept in one place, like a single heart in a large body. If that heart stopped, everything would die. This fear created a spark of an idea. What if communication was not like a single heart, but like a web? What if information could travel many different paths to reach its home? In these quiet, gray offices, men in white shirts and glasses began to dream of a galactic network. They did not have the technology we have today, but they had a vision of a world where computers were not just calculators, but windows into a shared mind. Chapter 1. The First Whisper in the Dark. The true birth of this dream happened on a cold night in October 1969. Imagine a small, quiet room at the University of California, Los Angeles. A young man named Charlie Klein sat at a very large computer, which was as big as a refrigerator. Hundreds of miles away, in another room at the Stanford Research Institute, another team was waiting. They wanted to send a very simple word: login. It sounds so normal to us now, but back then, it was like trying to speak to another planet. Charlie typed the letter L. He asked on the telephone, "Did you get the L?" The voice on the other end said, "Yes, we got the L." Then he typed the letter O. "Did you get the O?" "Yes, we got the O." Then he typed the letter G. And suddenly, the whole system crashed. The first message ever sent on the early internet was just LO. It was short, but it was enough. It was the first sign of life in a new world of digital connection. This early network was called ARPANET. It was named after the government agency that paid for it. At first, it was very small and very exclusive. Only a few universities and military researchers could use it. The computers were massive, loud, and very expensive. There were no pictures, no videos, and certainly no social media. It was just white text on black screens. But the people who used it felt like they were part of a secret club. They began to realize that they could share their ideas faster than ever before. They didn't have to wait for the mail or travel for days to talk to a colleague. For the first time in history, the distance between minds was beginning to shrink. It was a small, quiet revolution happening in the middle of the night, while the rest of the world was fast asleep, dreaming of older things. As the 1970s arrived, more people joined the network. But there was a big problem. Different types of computers spoke different languages. An IBM computer could not understand a computer made by another company. It was like a world where everyone wanted to talk, but no one spoke the same tongue. This is where two brilliant men, Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn, stepped into history. They were like the architects of a new bridge. They created a set of rules called TCP/IP. Think of these rules like the rules of a postal service. It didn't matter what was inside the envelope, as long as the address on the outside followed the same rules. These protocols allowed every computer, no matter its brand or size, to speak to every other computer. This was the moment the internet was truly born. It was the language that would eventually allow the entire world to join the conversation. Chapter 2. The Gift of the World Wide Web. Even with the new language, the internet was still very difficult to use. You had to be a scientist or a very smart student to understand the commands. It was like a giant library where all the books were hidden behind locked doors, and you needed a special key for every single one. That changed in the late 1980s at a place called CERN, a famous laboratory in Switzerland. A British scientist named Tim Berners-Lee was frustrated. He saw so much information being lost because people couldn't find it or share it easily. He had an idea for something he called the World Wide Web. He imagined a system where you could just click on a link and it would take you to another piece of information anywhere in the world. He wanted to make the internet as easy to use as reading a magazine or looking at a map. Tim Berners-Lee did something very brave and very beautiful. He decided that his invention should be free for everyone. He did not want to make billions of dollars from the code. He wanted the web to belong to all of humanity. On Christmas Day, 1990, he ran the first web server and the first browser. The very first website went live soon after. It was just a page explaining what the web was. There were no colors, no buttons, and no ads. But it was a door that was now wide open. Because he gave it away for free, the web grew faster than any invention in history. It wasn't just for scientists anymore. It was for teachers, for students, for artists, and for regular people sitting in their living rooms. The internet was no longer a secret project. It was becoming the heartbeat of our modern society. In the early 1990s, a new browser called Mosaic was created by a young man named Mark Andreessen. This was the first time people could see pictures and text on the same page. It was a colorful explosion. Suddenly, the internet felt like a real place you could visit. People called it the information superhighway. Companies started to realize that this was the future of business. Amazon began in a garage selling books. Google began as a way to organize the massive amount of information that was now everywhere. For a few years, there was a sense of pure magic. We felt like we were building a new civilization where all the knowledge in the world was just a few clicks away. It was a time of hope, where everyone believed that more information would naturally lead to more peace and more understanding between different cultures. Chapter 3: The Storm of the New Millennium. But every great story has a moment of conflict, and the story of the internet is no different. As the year 2000 approached, the world became obsessed with the internet. Investors were throwing millions of dollars at any company that had .com in its name, even if those companies didn't have a real plan. People were getting rich overnight, and everyone wanted to join the party. This was the .com bubble. But beneath the surface, there was a war happening. It was the browser war. Microsoft, the biggest software company in the world, wanted to control how people accessed the web. They fought with Netscape, the creators of the Mosaic browser. This struggle was about who would hold the keys to the digital kingdom. It was a reminder that even in this new digital world, old human desires for power and money were still very much alive. In the spring of the year 2000, the bubble finally burst. The stock market crashed, and thousands of internet companies went out of business. Millions of dollars vanished into thin air. Many people thought the internet fad was over. They said it was just a dream that had failed. But they were wrong. The companies that survived, like Amazon and Google, became stronger than ever. The crash was a painful lesson, but it also cleared away the noise. It allowed the internet to grow in a more serious and deep way. It was no longer just about getting rich. It was about changing how we lived our daily lives. We were moving away from just visiting the internet to actually living on it. We started to use it for everything, for banking, for booking flights, and for finding love. The middle of the first decade of the 2000s brought another massive change: the rise of social media. Before this, the internet was a place where you went to look at things. With websites like MySpace and later Facebook, the internet became a place where you went to be someone. People started sharing their personal lives, their photos, and their daily thoughts with the entire world. It was a total transformation of the human experience. We were no longer just consumers of information. We were the stars of our own digital shows. This era brought people together across borders like never before. Families who were separated by thousands of miles could now see each other's faces every day. It felt like the global village that the early dreamers had imagined was finally becoming a reality. Chapter 4: The Shadows and the Light. However, as the internet became part of every minute of our lives, a dark shadow began to grow. By the year 2010, we realized that being always connected came with a heavy price. We started to feel a new kind of loneliness. Even though we had hundreds of friends online, many people felt more isolated in their real lives. We became addicted to the likes and the shares, looking at our phones more than we looked at the eyes of the people sitting across from us. The internet, which was supposed to bring us together, also began to push us apart. We started to live in filter bubbles, where we only heard opinions that we already agreed with. The digital world became a place of loud shouting and quick judgments, where it was easy to forget that there was a real human being on the other side of the screen. Then there was the loss of privacy. In the early days, the internet was a place where you could be whoever you wanted to be. But now, every click, every search, and every movement was being watched by giant companies and governments. Our personal information became a product that was bought and sold. We traded our privacy for convenience and for free apps. We realized that if a service is free, then we are the ones being sold. This realization was a heavy blow to the innocent dreams of the 1990s. We saw that the internet could be used to spread lies just as easily as it could spread truth. The information superhighway had become a crowded, noisy, and sometimes dangerous street. Many people began to miss the quiet days of the simple web, wondering if we had lost something precious along the way. The struggle between freedom and control is still happening today. We see it in the way some countries block the internet for their citizens, and in the way hackers can steal the secrets of a whole nation. We see it in the way artificial intelligence is now changing how we think and work. The internet is no longer just a tool. It is a powerful force of nature that no one person can control. It is a reflection of ourselves, showing us both our greatest kindness and our deepest fears. It is like a giant mirror that we have held up to the face of humanity. We are still learning how to live with this power. We are like children who have found a magic wand, but do not yet know all the spells. The question for our generation is not, what can the internet do for us? But what are we becoming because of the internet? Chapter 5: The Eternal Legacy of Connection. Despite the shadows, we must look at what the internet has given us. During the great global health crisis in the year 2020, the internet was the only thing that kept the world moving. It allowed children to go to school from their bedrooms. It allowed doctors to treat patients through screens. It allowed grandparents to see their new grandchildren when the roads were closed. In those dark months, the internet was more than just technology. It was a lifeline. It was the galactic network, finally fulfilling its promise to keep the human heart beating even when we are physically apart. It proved that our need to connect is stronger than any wall or any virus. This is the true legacy of the internet. It is a bridge built of light and code that spans across the divide of our human differences. Today, there are billions of people connected to this web. From the busiest streets of New York to the smallest villages in the mountains, the internet has changed everything. It has given a voice to people who were never heard before. It has allowed a young girl in a poor country to learn from the best teachers in the world. It has allowed us to share our grief, our laughter, and our dreams in real time. The vision of Tim Berners-Lee and the early pioneers has won. The internet is now like oxygen. It is everywhere, and we only notice it when it is gone. It is one of the most beautiful and complex things humans have ever built. It is a testament to our curiosity and our refusal to be alone in the dark. As we look to the future, we must remember the lesson of that first LO sent in 1969. The internet was started by people who just wanted to see if they could talk to each other across a distance. At its heart, it is a very simple thing. It is a tool for connection. As long as we use it to build bridges instead of walls, to spread truth instead of hate, and to listen as much as we speak, the internet will continue to be our greatest hope. We are the architects of the next chapter. We must protect the freedom of the web while caring for the hearts of the people who use it. The story of the internet is not finished. It is just beginning, and we are all holding the pen together, writing the history of a world that never truly sleeps. And so, my friends, we reach the end of our journey through the history of the internet. It is amazing to think that all of this started with just 2 letters on a screen in a small room. We have seen how a tool born from the fear of war became a global bridge of peace and knowledge. We have seen the magic of the early web, the chaos of the bubble, and the shadows of the modern age. But through it all, one thing remains true. Our world is much smaller and more connected than it has ever been. We are all part of this digital tapestry, woven together by invisible threads of light. This history teaches us that every big change starts with a single, simple idea and the courage to share it with someone else. Now, as you turn off your screen or move to your next task, I want you to think about your own place in this story. How has the internet changed your life? Has it brought you closer to the people you love, or has it sometimes made you feel a little more alone? What kind of world do you want to build with the power of connection that you hold in your hand every day? I would love to hear your thoughts and your stories in the comments below. Your voice is a part of this global conversation, and it matters. Thank you so much for spending this time with me in our storytelling corner. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep connecting with the world around you. Until next time, stay curious and stay kind. Good night, or good day, wherever you are in this beautiful, connected world.